My mother-in-law burned my passport in front of me, just before our family trip, but she started shaking when she realized what she had done. My mother-in-law took my passport and burned it. It went up in flames quickly and turned to ashes. Now I can't go on my vacation to St. Bees Island. I was shocked and asked what's going on. She smirked and said, "You're a stranger here, so you'll be staying home." My husband grinned too. I was horrified by their cruel trick. I knew they might do something like this, but I didn't expect them to be so sneaky. They looked pleased with themselves and even laughed in a nasty way. Then I told them who I really am. My name is Tyra. I'm 29 and I study linguistics at university. Since graduating, I've been learning about different languages and cultures and sharing what I know. My organization sends me on trips abroad, and when that happens, I'm gone for a few months. When I first started this job, I thought marriage wasn't something I'd ever do, but when I went back to my home country at 26, I met Corey, who eventually became my husband. Because of my job, I only see him for a few months at a time, before I have to travel again. We stayed in touch with phone calls and emails while I was away. 2 years later, at 28, we got married. Even after our wedding, I continued to spend half the year working abroad, so we were apart a lot. I'm thankful he chose to marry me despite this. Today I'm heading home from the airport. It's the first time I'll see my husband in 5 months. I should be tired, but I'm excited and walking quickly. When I got home, Corey wasn't there yet, so I started tidying up. I always tell him to keep the place clean, but it's a bit messy. Normally this would upset me, but today I'm willing to overlook it, because I'm just happy to see him. While I'm cooking, I hear the front door open. Corey walks in and I rush to greet him. "Corey, welcome home. It's so good to see you." "Hi, Tyree, you're back." "Is that all you can say? We haven't seen each other in 5 months." "Well, we've been living like this for a while, so I'm used to it. What can't you at least say you miss me?" "Oh, what, I'm tired anyways. Dinner ready." "Yeah, I just finished cooking. Let's eat eating with my husband after so many months. Feels like the best meal ever. Normally, I'd be happy with just this, but today feels a bit different." "Hey, Corey, why do you keep staring at your phone?" "But what's the problem?" "Nothing's wrong, but I'm finally home." He. "You've been glued to your phone and haven't really talked to me. We've been in touch through calls and emails." "Oh, this time. Haven't we? There's nothing new to talk about." "Now that might be true, but it's been a long time since we've seen each other like this, so why?" My frustration with my husband's attitude makes my voice rise. It looks like my comment upset him. He stood up, put his phone on the table, and glared at me. "You know what? You were just on a plane, but I'm exhausted from work. Thought it, hold on. I also jumped on a plane right after work. Didn't ask you to do that. You just rushed home on your own." "Well, you don't have to say it like that. I miss you. I'm just saying I didn't ask you to come home. If you're going to be like this, don't come back at all. You're being annoying, Tyra." He slammed the table and stormed out of the living room, leaving his dinner untouched. What's wrong with him? Why is he being so cold? I haven't seen him in a long time. Was I the only one excited to see him? What's the point of coming home early if it's like this? Tears fell from my eyes and onto the table. Our reunion was even more disappointing than I had feared. The next day, his attitude didn't improve. When I greeted him with a good morning, he looked at me coldly. "I envy you," he said. "You get to relax at home all the time, while I'm stuck working." "That's not true," I replied. "I have a lot of work to do, like summarizing our activities and preparing for the next training session. It's a lot of work, more than you think. Either way, it's something you can do at home. I wish I had a job where I could spend half the year like that." "You don't have to talk like that." "Well, I'm just a company guy, so I have to go to work. You enjoy your time at home, princess." "What the heck, Corey?" Ignoring me, my husband left the house. We had a few arguments before we got married, but he had never been this sarcastic. I was really confused by his behavior and wondered if his words were causing problems between us. I thought about what I might do to improve the situation. While I was going through work materials, I decided to tidy up the house. As I was vacuuming and changing the bed linens, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. Feeling uneasy, I answered the call. "Hello, Tyree here." "Hi, Tyra, it's been a while. I heard you're back home and that you arrived yesterday." "Yes, that's right. And I also heard you upset Corey." He was quite angry. "I'm sorry, but it's nothing that should concern you." "Why, since you're back, how about we plan a family trip, what?" I was taken aback by her suggestion. Before I could respond, my mother-in-law continued. "I was just talking with my husband about going to St. Berth Island, and Corey mentioned he wanted to join us." "But what's up, Tyree? You're used to traveling abroad, right? Could you help us with hotel reservations and other arrangements, me? Are you having trouble understanding?" What your mother-in-law is asking you to do. Her voice grew colder. It was clear she didn't really want to travel with me. She just thought it would be easier for her. Since unexperienced with travel, I knew my mother-in-law didn't have a high opinion of me. She'd been sarcastic ever since we first met at the wedding reception. Even after 2 years of marriage, things hadn't changed. I often received messages from her while I was working abroad. How can you be a wife and stay away from home for months if you don't take care of the house? I'd rather my son marry someone else. It was a mistake to let him marry you. That's the kind of text I used to get from her. So I had a bad feeling about this call. I never imagined I'd be used for planning a family vacation, but maybe it's better than the usual verbal abuse. I was frustrated with myself for not being able to say no, even though I knew I was being used. A few hours later, my husband came home from work in a much better mood than earlier. He tossed his briefcase on the sofa and, smiling widely, held out to me. Mom called, didn't she? We can go on a trip to St. He said. I heard, but you know what? You're not thinking of turning it down, are you? Mom wants you to come with us. I understand. Why don't you just go with your mom and dad, like you originally planned? As soon as I said that, my husband's demeanor changed. He clicked his tongue, and his tone became more threatening. You need to understand your role here. The only time you're useful to us is when we're traveling. You don't have to speak like that. It's true, isn't it? Anyway, you'll handle all the flight and hotel bookings, and everything should be in my name. As you probably know, what, Corey, you're going to pay for the whole trip? What are you talking about? We'll split the cost 50-50. It's a small price to pay to show respect to our parents. What is that supposed to mean? If you've got time to lounge around at home, make the reservations now. This isn't right. I don't want to. What are you mumbling about? My husband grabbed a beer from the fridge and drank it in one go. I had a lot on my mind, but I wasn't sure what might happen if I resisted. I felt embarrassed, but I had no choice but to do what my husband and mother-in-law wanted. I made all the arrangements for the flights and accommodations for the trip to St. Birds, just as my husband had ordered. On the day of the trip, I was set to pick them up at my in-law's house and head straight to the airport. A few days before the trip, I couldn't sleep. In the middle of the night, I noticed my husband, who was supposed to be next to me, wasn't there. I went to the living room and heard him talking on the phone with someone. Oh, it's okay, it's all okay, Mom. I'll be there first thing in the morning as planned. Mom, please handle the passport issue. Anyway, seriously, I'm looking forward to it. I'll make sure to introduce her to you when I get back. As Tyra overheard Corey's phone conversation in the dark living room, a chill ran down her spine. What passport issue? She wondered. She felt like a stranger in her own home, the place she once thought she shared with her husband. Something was off. Corey's excitement, his secretive tone, and the mysterious mention of introducing her to someone. Who was he talking to? The next morning, Tyra confronted Corey. Who were you talking to last night? She asked cautiously as they sat down for breakfast. Corey barely looked up from his phone, his voice dismissive. Oh, no one. Just finalizing some details for the trip. Tyra clenched her jaw, sensing his obeisances. And what about the passport issue you mentioned? Corey finally met her gaze, his expression hardening. It's nothing. Mom needed some help with her documents. Why do you care? Tyra's frustration boiled over. Because it's my passport that went missing. You and your mom are planning something, aren't you? And I'm tired of being kept in the dark? Corey slammed his hand on the table, startling her. Enough with your paranoia, Tyra. You think the world revolves around you, don't you? Maybe you're the one who shouldn't be on this trip. In fact, maybe you shouldn't even be here at all. Stunned by his harsh words, Tyra's voice cracked as she whispered, What happened to us, Corey? We used to be a team. Now you treat me like a stranger. Corey snorted, standing up from the table. Maybe that's all you ever were. Maybe that day. Tyra couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was happening behind her back. Determined to get to the bottom of it, she secretly called her best friend, Maya, who had always been her support system during her travels. Maya, I don't know what to do, Tyra whispered into the phone, pacing in the guest bedroom. Corey and his mom are acting so strange. They've been treating me like an outsider, and last night, I overheard him talking about some passport issue. Maya sighed, her voice steady and reassuring. Hyra, you deserve to know what's going on. You've put up with enough of their manipulation. I think you need to find out what Corey's been hiding, but safely. Taking Maya's advice to heart, Tyra decided to do some quiet investigating. The next day, she pretended to go out shopping but instead went to the airport's customer service desk to inquire about her travel details. Can you check my reservation for the flight to St. Bees Island? Tyra asked the agent. The agent typed on the computer, then frowned. I'm sorry, Nan, but there's no reservation under your name for that flight. Hyra's stomach dropped. Her suspicions were confirmed. Racing back home, she arrived just as Corey and Catherine were packing the final bags for the trip. Tyra's heart pounded as she confronted them both in the living room. "You didn't plan on taking me to St. Bruce Island, did you?" she said, her voice trembling with anger. "I checked with the airline. There's no ticket in my name." Catherine shot her a smug glance, and Corey crossed his arms, an unbothered look on his face. "No, Tyra," Corey said coldly. "We weren't planning on bringing you. We thought it'd be best for everyone if you stayed behind." Tyra's pulse raced, her mind spinning. "Why? What are you trying to hide from me?" Catherine chuckled softly, shaking her head. "You don't belong in this family, Tyra. You never did. We tolerated you because you were useful. But now, you're just in the way." Tyra felt the room closing in on her, her chest tight with betrayal. "So, what's the plan? Leave me here and act like I never existed?" Corey shrugged, his cold gaze unwavering. "Something like that." Tara stood there, heartbroken but resolute. She knew now that this wasn't just a misunderstanding or a petty argument. They had planned to erase her, to cut her out of their lives entirely. But Tyra wasn't going to let them control her fate. "I won't let you do this," she said quietly but firmly. "I won't let you ruin my life." Catherine's eyes narrowed. "And what are you going to do about it?" Tyra straightened her back, feeling a surge of strength. "You'll find out soon enough." As she walked out of the house, Tyra knew that this was the beginning of a fight she had never anticipated. But she was ready to take control of her life, no matter what it took.